This is crazy. Hi friends, it's Andriy Vasilenko and welcome to Metallic Geek. Usually I post the podcast on my second channel, but today is the 10th episode. Get ready to something special. You know that I don't like to talk about stuff that you might have already known. Rather not stock Metallica facts appear in almost every video on this channel, and there are several dedicated to that entirely. But today we'll take it to another level. Even more obscure things about each and every Metallica song from the main albums. 10 albums, 107 songs. You might have two reactions on these facts. Holy shit, this is cool! Or holy shit, this is dumb! You cannot find most of them on the internet. And some portion is what we have discovered and discussed on this channel, but may still remain unknown for those not in Friend Inc. I cannot believe it's done, but anyway, поехали! Within just about 10 seconds, in Wherever I May Roam, Metallica had used more unusual instruments than in the previous 10 years. Dream No More is the third Metallica song about Cthulhu, but its name is spoken for the first time there. And Ronny is the only Metallica song with a real person's name mentioned. Fight Fire with Fire was the last song Cliff played, and Battery was the first song performed without him, and respectively Jason's live debut as a member of Metallica. There is a hidden clean guitar in the Memory Remains outro, a cello in Hero of the Day, and at the end of The God That Failed, there is a very quiet One More Like That by Bob Rock. In Some Kind of Monster, James does not open his mouth up until 2 minutes and 7 seconds into song. Yes, there is an F-bomb in Foam the Beltos. Fuck. But how about an F-bomb in Nothing Else Matters? You know that Jason wrote the main riff from Blackened. But on the record, the original phrasing went to the guitar. And Newsted did his own part differently. Where the Wild Things Are was the last song contributed by Jason, and he came up with it on the guitar and not bass. The live version of My Friend of Misery features an amazing crowd participation. It's based on the guitar feel from the interlude, but the harmony part is not on the record. Here are all the Metallica songs that won a Grammy. 1. My Apocalypse, Saint Anger, The Call of Cthulhu, Better Than You? And did you know that Home the Beltos was also nominated for a Grammy, but in 1995? 8 My Bitch is the only Metallica song with a profane word in its name. Atlas Rise with an exclamation mark, Am I Savage with a question mark, the shortest song title is One, and the longest, The Thing That Should Not Be. I warned you. The Black Album does not have a title track, but technically it does. Don't Tread on Me is about a historical American flag with the snake, and you can see the very snake on the album's cover. A similar story with Death Magnetic. It does not have a title track, but the words appear in My Apocalypse. And you know, Frantic could have been a title track instead of Saint Anger, if everyone fell for Lars's whining. The intro for The Struggle Within remains the only part of the Black Album never played live. The vocal line from the end of the line Need more and more reminds me that of Sad But True. Hey, hey, I'm your life. Just Sped Up and More Than to Flame. Sounds suspiciously close to the Four Horsemen. An Escape to Enter Sandman. Broken Beat and Scarred may be the best example when Metallica worsens a song, because it used to have a much sicker chorus in the demo. While another one from Death Magnetic, The Judas Kiss, is a case of the exact opposite.
Stop the fire! Spark the wire!
Speaking of bad choruses, the one from Purify may be the most ear-piercing thing that Metallica ever did. Silent intro is SOS in Morse code. You know that All Night Merlon originates from 3 sketches: Shadow of the Cross, Death is Not the End, and that Flamenco Jam of Roberto. But the song appears to have only traces of that jam. It's because it's gone through several stages of change. And all that remaining of the jam is just that sick jumper.
Still you run, what's to come, what's to be?
And the riff's tail.
What was that thing you were doing?
And now, name 3 Metallica songs from the main albums with a heavy verse and soft chorus. Hint, they all start with The Unforgiven, The Unforgiven, The Unnamed Feeling. So in a way it's some kind of a Saint Anger's ballad. Speaking of The Unforgivens, I feel like those 3 songs somehow related to each other, but Sweet Amber and Saint Anger contain the same riff.
She hold my hand, and I lie to get a smile. You flush it out, you flush it out.
All within my hands. I'll just read it from this amazing comment. When you name your charity for kids in poverty after a song where you shout kill 28 times in a row. And it's actually 38 times. Harvester of Sorrow is a song that should not be. The riff went from one song to another, and eventually they decided to give it its own life. And thus we have Daddy of Sad But True. Bad Seed, played in C-sharp tuning, was the lowest Metallica song at the time, while Invisible Kid is the lowest one to date, where James's guitar was tuned to a freaking drop A flat. Yeah, Suicide and Redemption is the longest Metallica composition, but they might have stretched it to the 10-minute mark artificially. The outro riff drags for more than a minute without any reason and no extra musical value. Torn Within and The Outlaw Torn have respectively the shortest and the longest Jameson solos. And again, why did they give up that sick solo from Wasting My Hate demo? Have you ever wondered what's the weird guitar in the Fixer's intro? Turns out that's just the main riff backwards. Mankind has the only Metallica riff in major key in 21st century, while Injustice for All has the longest part in major key at all. Out of nearly 10 minutes, the major key licks take up almost 2, which is 20% of the song length. The Day That Never Comes is the longest number 4 ballad to date, and Sanitarium is the only number 4 ballad to have a swearing. Speaking of which, Shoot Me Again has the most times James said Metallica have never written a song that starts with swearing, except My World. And by the way, now I'm revealing a secret. The sound I use for censoring came from my old Ride the Lightning bass cover. Master of Puppets is often called the best Metallica song and was Cliff Burton's favorite. And yet, he had managed to make fundamental mistakes in his bass line, namely going in dissonance with the guitars in the chorus and the breakdown. Fade to Black is often called the first poppy song by Metallica, but it has no chorus, while normal poppy songs depend on a catchy chorus, or as they call it, a hook. Not many write a song about ice. Metallica did, and even fewer have a chance to jam in Antarctica. Metallica did, and still they wasted this opportunity to play Trapped Under Ice where it belongs. An early version of Hit the Lights features the highest note James ever reached. And in the house Jack built, he gives a freaking low. Anesthesia may have been the first and the last time Cliff used the iconic Big Muff on a Metallica record. Orion is the greatest masterpiece of Cliff and a must-know for metal bassists, but he may have played the whole thing with just 2 fingers. Whiplash has 4 verses, but nowadays they cut it to 3. Phantom Lord from Metal Up Your Ass contains a lick which did not go to the studio version. But it has survived 19 years in Mustaine's head and eventually appeared in Return to Hangar. Speaking of Dave, Jump in the Fire was the first song he showed to Lars and James. And there's a big chance that he is telling the truth when claiming that Leper Messiah was based on his song. At least something similar appears on Metallica's rehearsal tape from 1982. Hardwired is the shortest album opener, and is the second smallest Metallica song after Motor Breath. If to consider just BPM, Creeping Death is the fastest Metallica song, and To Live Is to Die acoustic intro is the slowest piece they ever wrote. And that was just your live intro. There are 4 different guitar layers, which Metallica did for the first time since Blackened. In No Remorse, you can hear the first Metallica harmony ever. But it does not appear in any early version of the song. They seem to have added it while recording Kill 'Em All. Maybe that's the point Cliff started teaching James harmony. Metallica, whose name literally means metal, has only one song dedicated to metal. It's Metal Militia. Among all the times Metallica stole someone's music, in Seek and Destroy, they didn't even try to hide it. It's so obvious, so I think that was on purpose, as some sort of a tribute or homage. No secret, Metallica likes open strings. And they had put the biggest amount of zeros in Damage Incorporated. The shortest straw. Back in the day, me and my buddy called it Shortest Straw. And Through the Never has the most known misheard lyrics in Russian. Have you ever wondered why the Frayed Ends of Sanity intro sounds so Neanderthalic? It's actually the monkey chant from The Wizard of Oz. Speaking of primates, back in 2009, a group of scientists tried to create music to calm monkeys. The animals did not respond to any human-made music, except one song, of Wolven Man. Holier Than Thou was supposed to be the first single from the Black Album, instead of Enter Sandman. Several times Metallica teased the fans by performing brand new songs even before they were recorded. And so they played The Call of Cthulhu in August 1983, Disposable Heroes in 1985, 2x4 and Devil's Dance in 1995. And a bit from Murder One was played 9 months prior to the release of Hardwired. According to 20 Levels of Metallica Selling Out, it's my video. Until It Sleeps is the most, and Dire Sieve the least mainstream Metallica song. Prince Charming, the least sellout song on the often called sellout albums Load and Reload. Bleeding Me has the same lyric scheme as Du hast. Poor Twisted Me gave the name to the tour in support of the album. But Metallica did not play the song a single time on the tour. Funk is Trujillo's second nature. Though he has not recorded any slap stuff for Metallica. Newsted did it first on Cure. Mama Said is the only Metallica main riff played with strumming. In Lowman's lyric, we hear a rare key transition from A major to A minor. Alright, and also that weird rolling thing, King Nothing, in some ways resembles Enter Sandman. Devil's Dance and Sad But True are both in D standard and are heavy as fuck. Not to mention another Unforgiven, another Jason song, and so on. Go further and you might construct another Black Album out of Load and Reload. And Hardwired to Self-Destruct refers to the whole Metallica history. Now That We're Dead, The Outlaw Torn, Hail on Fire, Fade to Black, Confusion, Am I Evil cover, Here Comes Revenge, Wherever I May Roam. Yeah, I kinda cheated there, but pohui. And Spit Out the Bone sounds like a mix of everything from the 80s. It starts like Kill 'Em All, continues as Ride the Lightning, is about addiction and control, like Master of Puppets, the distorted bass solo, Cliff Burton. Plus, it's a bit overdone, like Injustice for All. If to count the Protector Projector section from Dirty Window as its chorus, then it's the only Metallica chorus with 6 nouns and no verbs, adverbs and adjectives. Eye of the Beholder doesn't get a mention in the song itself. Carpe Diem Baby is the only Metallica song title not in English, except the word baby, yeah. Sleazer is the worst Metallica song according to our fan survey, and Fuel is the only tune which starts with vocals. And finally, Attitude, the only song with no fact. We have done it. But I had to delete and remake a lot of stuff and record it several times. You hear the difference? But if you are curious what I deleted, go to my Patreon. I publish there the whole unedited script. And yeah, become my Patreon, it really helps. Anyway, tell me in the comments what did work out and what didn't. Join us here and on the channel where I post the podcast normally. Thanks for watching, it's Andriy Vasilenko. In metal. Да, бля.